All right, now we get a twofer. These are the other two nighttime driving collages I've done, and I've already filmed the one from St. Louis, which was the last one I put together. The first one I assembled was the bottom one, which was a little bit simpler. And the notable thing about both these pieces is how drunk I was when I took them, which is to say, I was very drunk. Let's start with the bottom one, however. In this one, Jean is driving in the driver's seat, and over in the passenger seat is Erin. She's looking at her cell phone, which is another one of my favorite gestures that people do. It's a very, very 21st century thing. And this one, I put my hand on the seat too, so I remember doing that. What I really fell in love with when I started doing the night ones was the shots out the windows, and here we get, actually the yellow is probably going to show better than I'm seeing it through the camera, but there's taxi cabs in the out the window. So this is sort of like around the time at the beginning where I started to fall in love with what you could actually shoot out the window. I was not, I'm sure actually looks like I'm sitting in the center of the back seat, but I wasn't quite, because Nikki was over on the other side, and I got this really phenomenal shot of just her hand sitting on the open window, which I thought was really fantastic. And what I'm going to do, I want to remake this piece eventually. Well, this one wraps all the way around to the back window, and there's a bus out there. Actually, these are the windows of the bus up here, and there's headlights of another taxi cab, so you get this massive overexposure, and it's kind of neat. But what I want to do with this piece is the window here kind of predominates, and what I'm thinking is I want to make some of the centerpieces photos in 5x7, and even maybe even 8x10. And the rest all 4x D, and string it back together that way. That way there'll be some emphasis on the other parts. Now, looking at, again, this was the first one I put together, but the last one I have shot. This one is the middle one of the two. It was the second. And this one is notable because I probably left about 50 or 60 pictures on the table that I didn't use. And it's having a little bit of trouble here because it's popping up a lot. It's not taped. This is also one of the first where I started taping, putting the tape on and leaving a corner bent so I could pull it off. So I pull all the tape off the front of this, but the end result is it looks nicer, except the prints are all popping up. And this one is just a much more confusing space in a sense, but we have Erin driving this time. There's a really nice profile, just barely lit of her face in red, and the windshield was one of the hardest parts of constructing of this piece, first of all. And I thought it came out okay, especially the closer up you look to it, the windshield looks better. And I just can't resist putting the mirrors, and I love the rear view mirrors, especially with Erin's looking forward, looking at Jean, and it's kind of neat. And then something very cubist happens on the other side. That was Jean put her hand over the headrest thing of the seat. And there are a number of neat things going on with this, like the different shades of color. It's kind of hard to see here, but you can see a little bit from the artificial lighting passing by as we're driving along. We're driving from First Avenue up through, did we go through the tunnel? We wind up going over the BQE, I know that. And drop Jean off in the sunny side. So something kind of weird happens here. I better back up a moment so you can see it. Jean's head is on this side, but it's like somebody ripped her arm out of her socket and draped it over the seat. It's an impossible space, but I don't think that the viewers are really going to notice it. We have the usual scenes out the window here, the streaking of the motion. And I think that's going to be about all I have to say about this. Also, I left an enormous number of pieces out down here. There was a whole section of the back seat which was not only not interesting, but really difficult to figure out how they went together. And this was also a piece, I spent the most time on this one, probably of all the ones I've assembled so far. It took a long time, and there are a lot of pieces where just the lighting and the textures and the colors are so cool. I would just stand there looking at them for a long time and thinking, how can I get them in there? I love the blue lighting that happens, the red. There's a very granular effect that goes on for some reason. It was the nature of that Olympus camera. Now I have a Canon G10, so we'll see how different that turns out. And that's number 2 in the nighttime driving series.